Welcome to this explainer. Okay, right out of the gate, we've got a very specific goal today. We're going to drastically improve your everyday communication. How? Well, we're doing this by breaking down a highly effective storytelling framework that we pulled directly from analyzing 78 of the absolute best speakers on the planet. And you know, after hundreds of hours of looking at this stuff, it turns out that delivering a truly incredible story really just comes down to a specific set of tools. Tools that, frankly, most people completely ignore. So let's just get right into it.
Now, I want you to ponder this for just a second. What really makes a story unforgettable? When you ask people that, most immediately guess things like, oh, it's emotion, or it's authenticity, or maybe really vivid details. And hey, while all those things are absolutely true and definitely necessary, there's actually a deeper underlying technique. This is the secret sauce that the top 1% of speakers use to completely capture our attention.
So the crucial point is understanding the massive difference between what we call the helicopter view and zooming into the trenches. Think about it like you're watching a war movie, right? If the movie starts with a helicopter shot from way, way up high, you see tiny tanks advancing, little soldiers lining up from afar, it's interesting for about 2 seconds. But almost immediately you're going to say, hey, take me down there. I want to see the mud on their faces. Amateur storytellers stay zoomed out in that boring helicopter view. They just summarize their problems from afar. But the masters, they zoom right down into the trenches. They drop you, the listener, into the exact moment the action is going down.
Okay, let's dive into this 4-part roadmap that makes up the incredibly effective PAST framework. Here's our agenda. We'll start with the helicopter view mistake, then go through Step 1, establish place, Step 2, drive action, Step 3, exact speech, Step 4, unfiltered thoughts, and we'll wrap up with the PAST framework masterclass.
Section 1. The helicopter view mistake.
So look, whenever you tell a story by just summarizing a situation, saying stuff like, well, I had a really difficult problem, it was tough, but I overcame it, you are staying way too high level. Because you're removed from the action, you're going to lose your audience's attention in literal seconds. They have absolutely nothing to visualize, nothing to connect with. But the good news? Zooming into the trenches is actually incredibly easy. You just need to follow this simple 4-part roadmap, which gives us the acronym PAST. That's place, action, speech, and thoughts. These 4 sequential steps act as your direct ladder right out of that helicopter and straight into the middle of the scene.
Section 2. Step 1. Establish place.
Let's kick things off with place. Really early on in your story, you want to share the location and the time. Giving a clear time and location instantly builds credibility. The listener instinctively knows, okay, this is a real event, and it immediately starts painting a visual picture in their head. But here's where people mess up. They try to be way too descriptive. If you start with, oh, it was a warm Sunday afternoon, the birds were singing, there was a faint smell of lavender, boom, you've lost the listener before the story even starts. And this brilliantly illustrates why you shouldn't be overly descriptive, but rather just state the basic place and time to ground the scene immediately. Just say, 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting in my apartment in Amsterdam looking at my laptop. Boom, that's it, you ground the scene and let the listener's brain fill in the rest.
Section 3, Step 2, drive action. So once you've nailed down your place, you've got to transition immediately to action. Place works incredibly well with action, simply because forward momentum is what hooks an audience right off the bat. Looking across thousands of stories, the absolute most common mistake is giving way too much context. The amateur version wastes so much time. I worked at this company for 3 years, my manager was nice. The listener's sitting there thinking, dude, where's the story? Contrast that with jumping right in. I'm at the airport security check, putting my bag in, when someone calls my name. See the difference? You skip all that boring backstory and just start right in the thick of the action. And to really get the absolute most out of this step, you need to power up your sentences with clear action verbs. I'm talking about words like walk, shout, bike, open, close. These action verbs are magic. They act almost like a script, literally projecting a movie directly into your listener's imagination as the events unfold right in front of their eyes.
Section 4. Step 3. Exact speech. I actually want to slow down the pace here for a second and really emphasize this one, because out of all 4 steps, using exact speech is the most frequently used technique by top speakers to instantly heighten the drama of literally any story. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it demonstrates that summarizing conversations is just incredibly boring, but using exact or even approximate dialogue makes it absolutely fascinating. Saying my manager was very upset with me totally falls flat, but listen to the difference when you drop in the exact dialogue. My manager called and said, "Philip, what the? You were all over the place."
By sharing the exact spoken words of that specific moment, the whole thing becomes endlessly more dynamic. Now you might be wondering, but my memory is terrible. What if I can't remember the exact words? Look, saying, "My customer was unhappy" is a complete dead end. But here's the good news. You actually have creative freedom here. If you don't remember the precise dialogue word for word, it is perfectly fine to use the words that could have been spoken in that exact moment. Saying, "The customer said, that technology messed up our entire production system," totally maintains the drama and keeps the listener hooked, all while preserving the creative freedom of your story.
Section 5, Step 4. Unfiltered thoughts.
Guys, if you truly want to make your story emotional and build a real bridge to your listener, this right here is your absolute secret weapon. This is how we connect as humans. The key word you need to remember here is unfiltered. A huge mistake people make is giving us this polished, fake, corporate version of their internal monologue. I mean, nobody actually thinks to themselves, this represents a supreme opportunity for my career progression. No way. You've got to stop summarizing your emotions and instead share your raw, weird, anxious, completely unpolished thoughts like, "I am dead here. They're going to tear my presentation apart. I'll literally be crying in this meeting." That is real life, and that is what actually connects with an audience.
I actually want to challenge you right now. Think about how you'd normally describe being nervous or excited. If you just say, "Oh, I was excited about my date," you're describing the emotion, sure, but we aren't feeling it with you. Instead, bring us right to the bathroom mirror with you as you're getting ready and share those exact racing thoughts. Does this lipstick look good on me? Is he even going to like me? Am I going to be laughing at his jokes? Am I funny? Suddenly, that whole situation becomes infinitely more relatable.
Section 6, the Past Framework Masterclass. Let's move to and see how this builds into a masterclass example of all 4 techniques seamlessly working together in just 30 seconds.
We're going to put all 4 of these steps together using this amazing story from our source material. Let's completely deconstruct the story of a guy whose airplane engine exploded mid-flight. Notice exactly how he hits every single beat to keep us totally riveted. First, he starts with place. "I was on a plane to Russia." Boom, we're there. Immediately, he jumps right into action. "I was looking out the window and the entire engine just turned into a fireball." Whoa. Then he weaves in exact speech, mimicking the stewardess saying, "We seem to have a slight problem here," and a Russian passenger next to him asking, "How many engines did we have?" And finally, he wraps it all up and anchors it with his unfiltered thoughts.
And that specific thought he shares, "I kind of felt like I'd already died and gone to heaven because no one said anything." Guys, that is the absolute emotional anchor of the entire 30-second airplane story. By giving us his raw, bizarre internal reaction, he pulls us right into the airplane seat sitting right next to him. It's absolute, 100% proof of the power of the past framework to turn literally any moment into high-stakes drama. So, that brings us to the end of our explainer. And I really want to leave you with this final, provocative question. What everyday moment will you turn into an unforgettable story today? It is officially time to ditch the helicopter view, use place, action, speech, and thoughts to zoom straight down into the trenches today. I highly encourage you to try it out in your very next conversation and just watch how people start hanging on your every word.